My name is Delanier Shook, and I am the information collector. Today, I'm coming to you from the Blue Ridge Parkway. This is an example of how, just off the Blue Ridge Parkway, you can be in the middle of beautiful wilderness. It's also a good example of how you need to be careful not to get lost. Daniel Boone put it best when asked if he never got lost. If he ever got lost, he said no, he never got lost, but he'd been bewildered for a day or two. So after a while, these trees start looking alike. So if you're on the parkway, which is a good thing, be careful if you walk off the parkway, because that can quickly turn into a bad thing. But under the proper circumstances, there are a lot of trails leading off the parkway. And given, if you're careful, take a friend with you and wear the right footwear, have the right bug spray, and if you take the right precautions, it's a lot of fun. And this is a very good example. There was actually a woodpecker over there, and I thought I was going to get a video of it, but it was too quick. But anyway, gorgeous area. And this is yet another reason why, as the nation opens back up, the Blue Ridge Parkway is an amazing place to visit. Last Wednesday, the Brazilian Army announced that during the prior week, the 17th Jungle Infantry Brigade and the 44th Motorized Infantry Battalion conducted surveillance in rural areas of Machadinho do Oeste to increase control of traffic routes between Rondônia and Mato Grosso. This is a good reminder that while here in the United States of America, areas like this are becoming less and less common, in other parts of the world, this is what a lot of the country looks like. And the trouble is, when you get areas like this, you get what would have been called highwaymen. The route that they were surveilling is a major route for truckers traveling between Rondônia and Mato Grosso. This was part of Operation Green Brazil 2. Which also involved military police and the environmental military police from Rondônia State. It was also a exercise in cooperation between the military command of the Amazon and the military command of the West. Last Tuesday, the United Kingdom announced the end of a round of UK-New Zealand post-Brexit trade negotiations. During the prior 2 weeks, the two nations had conducted 50 sessions, moving toward a, quote, an agreement that will liberalize trade and promote shared values such as openness and sustainability, end quote. There were 24 total areas discussed, including telecoms, environment and clean growth, intellectual property, anti-corruption operations, women in trade, trade remedies, and sanitary and phytosanitary measures. As the United Kingdom moves out of the European Union, it will conduct more and more of these bilateral trade talks. Last Friday, the European Union announced that it had received recovery and resilience plans from 4 more member states, bringing the total number of recovery and resilience plans received to 9. Now, the entire world is coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic. And one reason I mentioned this story is because we here in the United States hear of the European Union. We know about their open borders where you can travel freely from Denmark to Spain. But I don't believe most people have a complete grasp. That's another thing about the Blue Ridge Parkway. Once you're here a little while, the insects get a little comfortable around you. Most people do not per se have a grasp of exactly what goes into being EU member state. And whatever Britain's reasons and merits of pulling out of the EU, there were reasons they did, and this highlights part of it. Now, these 4 recovery and resilience plans were filed from Denmark, Spain, Latvia, and Luxembourg. This is all part of what they're calling Next Generation EU. It's a pandemic emergence plan which provides 672 billion euros in grants and loans. Now, the thing is, each country in the European Union has to file with the European Union how they're going to help their people come out of the pandemic. These plans must be assessed on an 11-point criteria, addressing each of these 11 points. 37% of the funds that these states are spending, when I say state, I mean independent nation, 37% must support climate objectives, and 20% must go to digital transformation, which means 57% of the money that Denmark is going to spend to help their people come out of the pandemic has already been spoken for, which is okay if Denmark wanted to spend the money on that. But here in the United States, if California wants to spend money one way, they pretty much can't. And they don't have to go to Washington, D.C. to get permission to spend it. So it's not a bad system, but it's different. And I think that we here in the United States of America don't necessarily understand totally the difference. Denmark requested 1.6 billion in grants with an emphasis on resilience and green and digital transformation, which is part of those 11-point criteria. Spain requested 69.5 billion euros in grants with an emphasis on green transformation, social and territorial cohesion, digital transformation, and gender equality. And I don't know, this is a good time to mention that Spain, there's a lot of people groups in Spain. The Catalonia independence movement, they pushed for independence of their region a few years back. And it's a situation, once again, that we don't hear a lot about, but it's worth watching. Latvia requested $1.8 billion in grants with an emphasis on healthcare reform, affordable housing, and sustainable transportation. Luxembourg requested 93 million euros with an emphasis on decarbonization of transport, protection of biodiversity, digitalization of public administration, and promotion of a transparent and fair economy. So that is how the European Union is moving toward the end of the pandemic. Within the past few weeks, we have seen a movement to pull international forces out of Afghanistan. We've been there about 20 years, and I think that whatever happens next in Afghanistan, most everyone is saying it's time for the next phase. In that same vein, last Thursday, the Afghan president's office announced that Afghan President Ghani had met the German foreign minister for bilateral discussions around the peace process, which is ongoing in Afghanistan. Of course, Germany is withdrawing troops from Afghanistan, and it is actually very interesting that German troops were deployed to Afghanistan. It wasn't that long ago that the idea of German or Japanese soldiers on foreign soil would have been even disturbing to a lot of people, and even more disturbing to people in their countries. There's a reason Japan's military is called the Japanese Self-Defense Forces. I think that's a bird. I hope it's a bird. Okay, let's wrap this up. That's one great thing about being around the Blue Ridge Parkway. You see all sorts of critters, some of which you hear all sorts of critters, some of which you would like to see, and some of which I'm certain I would hope never to see. There's a bear behind me, isn't there? Okay, anyway, okay, so the fact that German forces had deployed to Afghanistan is significant. Not bad, but just significant. After the discussions, President Ghani stated appreciation for German support of the Afghan government and people, while the German foreign minister emphasized that though their troops are being withdrawn, they have a continued commitment to Afghanistan, the government and the people. And troops are being withdrawn, but already there's discussion that both special forces and private military contractors are still in country, and in some cases their presence is being ramped up. So we're not abandoning Afghanistan. We've been there 20 years, and the cause of the Afghan people is our cause too.